We're recording.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Coalition, where we're going to talk about a naughty little movie. Uh, naughty to say the least. It is a slasher horror movie called X, and we're going to dive deep into it. We're going to spoil everything. We're going to talk about the deaths. We're going to talk about the scenes that were scenes. We've seen them scenes and everything else. I am joined by, well, first, I am Dana, the entertainment editor over at thecoalition.com, and I am joined by Mr. Richard Bailey Jr., who is the co-founder of all things that is the coalition.
Yes, good afternoon, Dana. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Wonderful. Now we saw X. I saw X a long time ago, waiting for everyone else to see it. And Richard saw it the most recent, and he was very excited for multiple reasons as to why he was he was thrilled, to say the least. It was a it was a very interesting performance of the movie. So, diving into this is right around. Let's just talk really quickly what this is about. It's a very simple concept that goes to dog poop very quickly, but there's layers to the poopageness. And when I say poopageness, it's good poop. It's that poop that we all need. Anyway, back in 1979, we have a group of young filmmakers. They're all aspiring filmmakers, and they want to go out there and create. It is a naughty movie. It is, but they want to create this adult film in rural Texas. But when their reclusive elderly hosts catch them in the act of naughtiness, the cast ends up basically fighting for their lives. That's the quick way to explain it. The other way is they want to do a porno. There's an old horny lady who's married to this dude who can't perform anymore, and she's basically jealous of what's popping, and we have some family lineage that's going around. So Richard, right off the bat, what did you think of this?
Well, I thought the movie was very good. I heard a lot of people talking about it's an excellent slasher film. I'm a fan of all types of horror movies, so I absolutely wanted to see this. Um, the concept, as you said, is very simple, but it has enough to it that makes it interesting because
Mhm.
I'm curious to see, how the story plays out. If there are any people that actually survive, which we'll get into that later. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was great. Anytime the A24 does a movie or is behind a movie, it normally is good. I know there are some movies, and not every movie apparently, because I know some people did not like Midsommar. That was a very long movie, but yeah, normally A24 delivers, so that was why I decided I wanted to go see this.
They do. They do deliver, and their movies are. It all seems to be different from each other. It's not like you can put them in a box. Because
Hmm.
Waves was very different since
Oh
from
yeah.
X, and X is very different from Hereditary, which is different from, I think, Lamb was A24. So all of their movies are very different. But for me, I didn't know what the movie was about when I went to go see it. They was like, "Here, come see this movie," and I'm like, "Fine, I'll go." No clue. I saw, like, they gave us like a 10-second trailer. I'm like, okay, and I just went off because it's 824. I'm like, I'm gonna just go because it's 824. They don't steer me in the wrong direction,
Hmm.
and this was surprising. I was like, oh. Okay, we're doing that. No, but I thought it was a really simple take, but they made it very smart.
Yeah.
Um, it was a throwback to the 1970s horror movies. I got a lot of Chainsaw Massacre from this.
Hmm.
Um, and yes, it's easy to say, oh, it was they're doing some adult filming and some things are going on, but it's layers to it, and to me, it was incredibly sad.
Yeah.
I found this just to be really sad, and I had no idea that Kid Cudi was even in the role because he went by his government name.
Oh yeah. And I must confess that when I because how I was introduced to this movie was I forget what other movie I saw, but it was in the coming attractions.
Mhm.
And I saw the trailer, and I instantly I knew, hey, that's Kid Cudi. What is he doing in this movie? So I was interested after I saw that because I was curious what his role was in this movie. So yeah, definitely stood out.
He's having an interesting time. His song "Day and Night" is being used for Moon Knight. He's in this movie. Then we have the whole situation with Kanye. So he's
yeah,
experiencing something,
yeah, yeah.
the ebbs and flows of life. But he was fantastic in this. So we're gonna just kind of like just talk about the cast really quickly. We had Mia Goth, who plays both Pearl and what was the other character? She was both Pearl and May. I want to say May, but I'm pretty sure it's not May. But she
No,
was
it's Maxine Minks.
Maxine Minks. So
Yeah.
she was both characters, which I didn't even know that she was. The makeup was so well done. I'm like, who are these old people that they found and agreed to do this movie? But I love how she played the kind of the both of the roles. The opposite. You have the youth and the beauty, and
yeah.
then the old and the fragile who just wants to be loved. I was so incredibly sad about that. Well, how did you feel about Mia?
Oh yeah, no, I agree. She did an excellent job. She played basically, as you said, both versions. The person who is young, vibrant, and is looking towards the future, and then of
Mhm.
course the much older woman who, I guess, the loss of a lot of things.
Mhm.
I look forward to seeing them talk more about that in the prequel. But yeah, she played both the young, exuberant version
Oh,
of this
sorry.
character and a much older, vicious version. Oh, there
She
you go.
was There you go. She was hungry. And she put everything into that performance because even like the body posture and
oh
then
yeah.
that scene where she's stripping down, I'm like, oh wow.
Well, that was disturbing. I have to say that was disturbing. To see the boniness of the woman is, yeah, it's a little jarring. But I mean it made sense because again, you see these other young people, they're engaging, obviously they're making this film, but they're having all this intimacy and they're not having it within her own relationship. I understand why the character, yes, felt like she wanted to get that back. Um,
Mhm.
yeah.
And it also in a weird way, you know how you said, "Oh, it was jarring to see." And I think that was the kind of the whole purpose. So you could easily argue, yes, somebody trying to kill you, that's a horror movie and she's running around, killing people.
Hmm.
But what was really interesting is that a majority of people's greatest fears is actually getting older.
Yes, that's a very good
Yes.
point.
So you're
Um,
older. Remember, she just wanted to be loved,
mhm.
and that physical intimacy he couldn't provide anymore, which
Well,
was
he did at the end.
at the
I guess
end. And
finally, yeah. And I would not have wanted to be under that bed when that happened.
oh
So,
dear.
yeah, but yeah, but yeah, that's what it is. Um, and you make a very good point. Yes, a lot of people do fear getting old. Because when you get old, a lot of your family members, they may not be here anymore. It is a very sad, depressing feeling that we all have to experience, unfortunately, at some point in time.
Right. So you have that, and then you have, of course, the song "Landslide," which you didn't know they were singing.
Oh
"Landslide"
yeah.
is a
Well,
very
I mean,
famous.
the performance was great. I'm talking about the
Mhm.
song, by the way. I don't want people to get it twisted. I'm talking about that was a great song that they did. So yeah, I just didn't know at the time until you mentioned what the song was.
It's a
But yeah.
Fleetwood Mac song.
Hmm.
They came out a very long time ago that was remade by the Dixie Chicks. There's many interpretations to that song. I always interpreted it as getting older
Hmm.
and, the time that you had and how it's slipping away. Many people have said that it was actually about love and loss of love. And so it's just at the end of the day, you could just simply argue it's about loss of things. One of the
Hmm.
lines is about and I'm getting older too, so it's just about looking back at all the things and now that you've lost. And I think that they did a really great job because here's that montage right before everything goes to complete poop, where Pearl, who is the older woman, she's looking at the beauty and the youth of Mia, because remember they met when she put her remember when she came into the house.
Yep.
So they met and she's like looking at her at that beauty and youth. And remember, she's staring at her skin. And we didn't really get it at first. I'm like, is this some cannibalism? But but she's staring at the skin and the beauty and the youth and the age, and then you see her in the mirror and she's looking at herself and her brushing her hair.
Yeah,
So
the hair
yes,
that's no longer there or is slowly disappearing.
that's so sad.
Yeah.
So sad. So, yeah, kind of going into this here, we also have, like we said before, there is Kid Cudi in there. And we have Brittany Snow is also, and Jenna Ortega, who we've
Yes.
seen previously just from Scream 5, which
Y-
I have
Yep.
yet to see.
I just want to say that actress is she's blowing up a lot right now. I did see Scream. I had a few issues with Scream, although I thought the movie was good. I have some criticisms, but I'm not going to talk about that on this show.
Okay.
But I will say this: I'm very happy for that actress. She's also actually going to be in that the Wednesday show, right, on Netflix. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, she's getting a lot of roles now, so that's awesome.
She's doing good, and I'm happy for her. So one of the things I wanted to talk about also is the stylized, because this is it takes place in 1979,
Hmm.
and I thought they did a really these other we'll get to the other part, but they did a really good job with making it feel like it was the 70s and we were in a 70s horror slasher. What about you?
Oh yeah, they did a fantastic job with that, and then also the way it was shot when they were shooting the actual film.
Hmm.
Because I did see an interview that Ti West gave, and he was talking about he wanted to capture the filmmaking of how movies were shot at that particular time, and I believe he's going to do the same thing in his other next two movies as well, really focusing on that element. So I thought they did an excellent job with that for
Hmm.
sure.
Absolutely, I got that. So we're gonna talk about the movie within the movie, which is The Farmer's Daughter. I've a very simple concept, but it was really interesting how they brought together, the cast and how the boyfriend, which was Jenny Ortega's boyfriend in the movie, he really wanted to make a high art film.
Hmm.
And how, yes, what they were doing, you would consider it was porn and entertainment, adult entertainment, but it's still art at the end of the day.
Hmm.
And so the farmer's daughter's concept, from a male perspective, um, oh, how did you feel about that part? How did they added it in? And it wasn't really like, oh, this is disgusting, because we had Jenny Ortega who was like, oh, this is disgusting. And then later on, it kind of piqued her curiosity.
That actually, to me, is what was great about the story itself. That's one of
Hmm.
the things, is because the entire time she's helping out on the production, and then all of a sudden she's curious by seeing this, and then she asks the question, "Well, are y'all in relationships? Or y'all just decide to have sex, and there's no attachment? Does that impact the relationship?" So when she started talking about that stuff, I figured, oh, she might be interested in this, and it's interesting because the boyfriend was looking at this as an art form, but of course, he did not want his girlfriend to participate. So, a very specific mindset where he's like, okay, yeah, I'm treating this as art, it's as porn, but there has to be boundaries to it. And then when she said, no, I want to do this, that he just completely lost it at that point in time. So, I thought that was a great twist in the story because, yeah, it just goes to show, you really shouldn't have any bias. If you are for this 100%, you should just be, then it shouldn't matter to you who was in it. But then when you worry about it because someone you care about is involved, that shows the bias that he had with that whole situation.
Right.
But the actual concept of it, yeah, this is just like any other dirty movie. The concept is simple. The characters going around. The farmer's daughter. Oh, I got lost on the road. I need help. Do you have a phone? And then that turns into all bunch of so yeah, the silly stuff that you normally see and hear about in these movies. That was pretty accurate, I would say.
I wanted to get also from you the male perspective, because with the boyfriend, remember, it was like he considered her, she's a good girl. That was the
Yes.
whole line that he said. And by doing this, she would be sullied. Is that kind of the general consensus of what men would say and think? Like, oh, I have this good girl here that, this is someone who I want to bring home to mama, but at the same time, I may look at the porn star girl who's not considered the good girl, and once that good girl starts doing what the other girl is doing, she is tainted.
Oh, I think a lot of men think this way,
Mhm.
because they're looking at when they look at the girlfriend, they're looking at, well, this is my woman here, so they're trying to control and think that they will never do anything, bad to some extent. But why I find it interesting again is because he is involved in this. He says, "Oh, I'm treating this as a high art situation." So taking it and capturing others in it, he's like, "Yeah, this is the beauty. This is the beautiful element about it." But then someone that you are in a relationship with wants to do this, completely changes his whole mindset because he's thinking to himself that, I'll do this as long as she's not involved in it, or as long as someone I know is not involved in it. Then it gets a lot more personal. But the line you said about the other character, the director, who
Mhm.
basically told him that no woman is good, or something to that extent. Um, I mean, everyone has their own way that they want to approach certain situations. So, but in this case, you had her in this situation where she was watching this whole production happen. So obviously, you should know somebody's going to be curious. And the other thing about it is that, again, the movie does a very good job of showing you how, when you talk about religion, how much of a sin they look at this whole thing as, and that
Mm.
plays into a role again with this situation here, because he thinks, oh, she's pure and all this other stuff, but if she does this, then now she's dirty all of a sudden. So that's why I said the way they play that into the theme of the movie, because quite
Mm.
honestly, there are a lot of people today that still have that mindset that, yes, that you're a filthy person if you have sex or whatever. If you're a very religious person, there's a lot of people in these churches that still think a lot of this stuff is horrible. So I mean, it is what it is, though. But I think they had to capture it for the sake of the film, for sure.
Wonderful. That's very interesting. And also what I really kind of was liked about it is that it gives you a perspective from someone who was in the film, like if they were in the industry,
Hmm.
and you have the younger mindset of someone wanting to come in and thinking that they can easily just have the expertise of someone who was the expert. So you have, like, for example, the guy who played Brittany Murphy's boyfriend, who was the director of the film,
Yeah.
and then you have the what thing his name was JP or something, who was the direct what do you call it, the cinematographer
Yes.
you would consider. Um, so I really liked their perspectives, and I also liked the relationship that Brittany Murphy had with the boyfriend,
Hmm.
where it wasn't like anyone's getting jealous. This is a work, this is job, and she and we still love each other. They're able to separate business from their relationship.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I like the and it showed how he was completely unable to do that. The director of photography guy, and you had Jenny Ortega with her character. And it was really interesting to see that kind of dynamic because that happens a lot,
Hmm.
just in general. There are people who are in the adult entertainment industry who they're couples and they're like, yeah, we're able to do this and come together. And there are other people's like, well, I had the boyfriend and he went on a jealous rage and fit and couldn't do it anymore.
Yep.
So I
Hmm.
liked how they did that. So kind of also getting into this, um, we got to talk about the horror. It wouldn't be a horror movie without a bunch of people just dying brutally. So yes, what we have here is um, Pearl basically gets very upset. Usually I would think it at first I was confused because I'm like, oh, it's an old lady who's running around killing people because they're, I don't know, invading her space. I really didn't understand at point until you kind of understand that to me she's been isolated all those years on the
Hmm.
farmhouse with her husband, who is older, impotent, um, and you're not the same as you once was before. This is not the Notebook. Um, this is the complete opposite. So she doesn't have that care and that tenderness. And then you see these kids and what they're able to do and what their body is. And it seems to me like she makes her snap and it's a fit of rage that she ends up doing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But let's go to when this all happened with. Obviously, she tried to mess around with Maxine earlier in the film, and then
Mhm.
you see after the whole situation happens with I believe the character's name is JP, the cinematographer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, when he tries to leave and go off on his own, she is blocking the pathway for him to exit. So he gets out the car, and then she tries to do something with him, and he says, "No, why did you do that? Don't, no, I'm sorry." And then that was it. That's when she snapped. And I have to say that the way she snapped so quickly is just like, yeah, that was pretty jarring to see.
Right.
Because then it's like you can see that she loved doing it. When after with the stabbing and all the other stuff, all the stuff she did to him, she really loved doing it. She kept doing it over and over again. So it was her obsession.
To me, I thought it was a frustration out of her husband.
Well,
She was kind of like
that's
that.
well. See, that's a very good point, and that could be what it is as well. Because I mean, we did see later on in the movie that it looked like they had a plan all along to
Yeah.
get just the one girl that she was interested in, but they took everyone else out just to get to her. So it felt like they were in collusion together for the entirety of the film. But when she killed their first character, I wasn't sure if that was just, it could be out of frustration, or that is just because she was fed up, and yeah, that's what my guess is why she did that.
Yeah, there were so many, like, for me, it was like a little bit of everything because I was kind of thrown off at first. I thought it was, like I said, she was angry at the husband. Then it was like when he said no, it was like a pure disgust. Like, oh my God. Because
Hmm.
if you noticed, every time that she touched or got close to the kids, I'm calling them the kids even though they're adults, the younger people,
Yeah,
they freaked out. Now, granted,
yeah,
a older woman
absolutely.
in your bed is gonna freak you out, but like they were freaked out. Like, oh my God, why are you touching me? No,
Well,
no.
well,
And
well,
it's
yeah,
kind of
you're 100% right. But that bedroom scene where she got into the bed, I would have been freaked out as well. That was just yeah, with the blood on your hands and oh hell no, no. Yeah, I would have been freaked out by that also.
but I kind of viewed it as like that's how we think of, the elderly society. Like, ugh,
Yeah. Yeah, you're
go
right.
away. You
You're
go in a
100%
home.
right. You're 100% right about that. Hmm.
Because like we don't want to see you. We don't want to take care of you. Go in a home now. So yeah, it was kind of like that. How I kind of also viewed it.
No, you're right about that. I do recall when I was in high school, we went to one of those senior citizen places before. And a lot of the people in there, obviously, they're a lot older. So, a lot of things are very different with how they operate as you get older.
Hmm.
So some people that I was with, they was a little afraid to go in there. They see, maybe somebody, they went to the bathroom on themselves or whatever. They felt uncomfortable seeing that stuff. So I understand that, yeah, some people still have that mindset about the older generation today, but I hope they do know that we're all going to get old one day. So shouldn't treat them so harshly in those situations.
Hmm. So that was interesting. So that was like the first kill that we
Hmm.
had going on, and then we had the second kill, which I don't remember the orders. So
This was the boyfriend of the director, the director of the movie when
oh,
when he
the
went into the
guy.
barn, right?
Oh, the barn. This was the classic barn.
So
Yes.
so let me just say right now, people were laughing at this particular scene, like when the
Really?
girl, because the girl is looking for a boyfriend, and then she comes back and tells him, and he says, "Okay, I'll help you search," and he's literally in his underwears. You're just gonna walk out, don't put no clothes on, right? Just walk out and continue looking. People were laughing about that in the theater. Like,
I
what's up
thought
with
it
this
was like
guy?
a power dynamic because aren't men, if you really look at it, it's all about, who has the bigger size of what. So Kid Cudi walking around with no
Yeah,
underwear.
yep.
Like, and then they showed like a shadow of it just, breezing
Yeah,
on by.
I tried to. Yeah, I definitely avoided that particular. I did not look too close. Didn't look too closely at that one. We don't want to see all that.
And you said, no, I can't. I'm a man. I don't want to see
But
it.
but you're right. They felt as though, and maybe that was intentional with the director to say that the men feel that they're in control, they have power, so they can just go out whatever and still protect no matter what they have on. That's probably was directly that director probably intended that. Ti West.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So with him, he was in the barn, and that to me was like a very classic horror thing as well. So he's
Mm,
in the barn and trying to find out what was going on with the boyfriend because he's gone, and he ends up going through looking through a peephole. There's a hole in the barn, and like, oh, what's going on? And of course he gets it in the eye
yeah.
with the
That's.
rake.
I just want to say, they have some pretty good jump scares in this movie. Um, because I literally, as I was watching it, it's like I had to relax just a little bit because I didn't want to get scared, too much. Because some of that stuff with the suspense of you see a character walking into an area like, oh, is somebody going to jump out and scare the character? I felt that the whole time when they started going after each individual kid, or rather, as you would say, young adult. So.
Young adult. Can't call them children. Young adult. No, that I thought that was very effective. I really liked that, and how what was hilarious, even when you look at the first kill, and she kept stabbing him, was then she started to bury the hay
Mhm.
over him. She was very aware of what she was doing, just doop, doop, trying to cover up the body and everything else. So that was very funny. And then we kind of had, I think it was Jenny Ortega was next.
Oh no, that was
No,
she was right before, she was towards the very end of it
she
all.
was towards the end. So then it was no, because didn't she get her hand smashed in,
Oh
and then
well,
she
yeah,
was in the basement?
yeah. But she got trapped in that basement, and it wasn't until later in the movie when she got free, and then she tried to run out the house, and then by the way, that was a brutally a brutally awesome and effective kill because it happened just like that with the shotgun.
No, we're gonna run, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that was effective,
yeah.
and I also find that interesting because if you recall at the very beginning of the movie, when they came to the house and the guy was held him up with the gun, he said, "Oh yeah," he said, "Oh, when everything was cleared and he found out who he was, he said, "Oh, don't worry, this gun isn't loaded. We just have it around to scare people, but it actually was loaded." So that I thought that's very interesting.
You can't go in and be like, "Yeah, I have this gun. It's loaded." I mean, you can, but
Yeah.
for yeah. Well, see, that also I thought made it even better as well because you think of here's this old couple and their gun. It's not even loaded. They're harmless old people, and then you
Hmm.
see the brutality that they're able to dish out.
Oh yeah.
You know, so
But
without any kind of yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. No, I agree. And the point, no, I just was going to say, I do want to make one thing very clear though. I honestly think that everybody involved in that, they got what they deserve at the end because they came in there trying to basically take advantage of the older people in their property. Didn't tell them what they were doing there. And
I
and and
mean,
that, and I think, and again, talking about, yeah, we're going to pay you this thing. Obviously, I understand you're not going to tell them all your business, but you're using their property to do this stuff, and then you don't think that they're not going to see something or want to say something. So they definitely took advantage of the situation. So I think that a lot of them characters deserve to go out the way they did. But I will put the most of the blame on the director because he is the one that had the conversation with this older guy and negotiated the deal in the very beginning. So he definitely needed to go out for 100% sure.
really, I didn't.
Yes.
I didn't think that it. I mean, yes, you could say what they didn't exactly go and tell, but you can't go and be like, "Hey, can I use your room and make it a porno from your room?" Can you? You can't
I
do
know.
that.
I know. Well, I'm assuming in that particular time, no, you cannot say that. Um,
Well, in any time, really. Like,
well,
hey, can I do this and this to your room?
you definitely can't do well. I mean, I don't know. You might be able to get away with it now too, though. I mean, but what I'm saying is that when you think about the situation, is these are clearly older people. They don't not really aware of what's happening, so it kind of feels like they're taking advantage of them. That's why I said, once again, with how people treat the elderly, how they don't really want to be around them. But in this case, they have something that we want, which is the property. So we're going to do whatever we can to shoot the movie there, and that's it. I think there's something wrong about that to an extent. So that's why I said I understand why those characters had to meet their end. Um, was it brutal?
Yeah.
Yes, but I guess that was necessary for the sake of the movie.
Cold blooded. Good lord. Yeah. So then we had that. So then it would have been. Then it was Kid Cudi
Yeah, it's
with
like a
the
combination of,
crocodile.
Kid Cudi and his girlfriend, because Kid Cudi went out because the guy, older guy, came to him and said, "Hey, I'm looking for
Mm-hmm.
my wife," and then he decides to walk out and help him search. Doesn't find her, comes back, and then the guy shoots him in the chest. I said, "Oh, interesting," because earlier in the movie he said that he's a military man. Kid Cudi's character was Jackson Hole. He was a military man.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Oh yeah, I've avoided a lot of older men like you with shotguns and stuff like that." So it was very interesting how, at the end of the day, shotgun to the chest, and you didn't even see him take the shot. That happened off camera, but yeah, they made sure to it came full circle in terms of him getting killed. So
It was terrible. It
yeah,
was awful. And then we had, was it Brittany Murphy with the alligator,
yes,
crocodile?
yes, yes, that was very gruesome.
That was gruesome.
They foreshadowed in the beginning of the movie
Mm-hmm.
when Maxine was in that water, when she decided to get into that lake. And by the way, that water did not look clean, so I don't know why she's swimming in there. She gets into that lake, and as she's coming back, you see an overhead shot of the alligator coming. See, that was awesome to see all of this in it, because again, tension. Because you're thinking that the alligator is going to get her, but she jumps out just in time before the alligator can get right there where she's at. So they foreshadowed that. So I figured at some point somebody might get killed, but that way. And yes, that was a very brutal, satisfying kill, I would say. Something that you would say of a slasher movie. Yeah, I think that was a very satisfying kill, because it was just just absolutely torturous.
Mm-hmm. And then you had Jenny Ortega,
Yeah, yeah,
which
yeah,
was interesting because I thought they would just outright kill her. But they didn't. They put her in the basement, and this was the plot twist of everything, where I was like, what the heck is going on? There was another dude in the basement.
yeah. They saw that, because I know at the beginning of the movie, when the sheriff is investigating the house, they go downstairs and they're like, "Oh, you need to see this." He goes and he sees it. We never see what that is, and then I guess that's what it was. That guy basically crucified up on the wall,
Hmm.
that they had there. So I guess that's what they saw initially. But yeah,
So, but
I'm
here's
glad they
what I
answered that
was,
question.
but this is what I was slightly confused. Was it killing anyone who was basically youthful? Because he wasn't, un- I'm going to assume, not trying to film a film down there either.
Well, my assumption is yeah, it has a lot to do with they crave the vibrance and youth of these younger characters.
Hmm.
Uh, there was a point in time when they were also young, and that's why I say I'm very interested to see what this prequel is going to dive into, because clearly things did not go well as when she was younger, and she's basically trying to say, well, now the thing which I do find interesting, though, and I'm not really sure, with that guy that was chained up in that downstairs, I don't know if that was someone that the woman was lusting after, or if that was the husband that was interested in that one. I mean, I don't know. I would assume it was
Oh,
her, because I mean, listen, we don't I mean,
oh.
they didn't really show that of that character, but obviously I was thinking, if they are in this together, what is he getting out of this, aside from just capturing the actual young adult.
Hmm.
So they didn't answer that question. Maybe there are people that will comment on this video and they will have some theories, that they may have some thoughts about that. But yeah, I just think they was jealous of the youth and vibrance that the young adults had, and because they couldn't get any of that, then they basically wanted to take them out as ASAP. That's what my guess is that they was.
And here's another thing, though. Right before everyone like dropped dead, it seemed that they were really sexually excited by killing everyone.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was
So,
yeah. I guess that was a mechanism to get them in the mood.
so then my question is that what they do in order to get their blood pumping?
Yeah, I think that's a very good
And
guess.
That's why the guy was there.
That yeah, I think that's exactly what that was. That's exactly what that was. Um, and I'm assuming that we're going to see a lot of that in the prequel also. Uh, but I would like to know, what is it that there had to be some things, some very traumatic events that happened to Pearl that made her this way. So
Mhm.
that's why I said I look forward to them explaining more about that in that prequel movie for sure.
Mhm. So then we have what was really interesting was before with it, believe it was Lorraine because she was a judgmental one.
Mm-hmm.
Before Lorraine kind of met her hilarious ending, Maxine freed Lorraine from the basement, and Lorraine was like basically blamed her
Yep.
and her whole like porn star ways for everything that happened. And that was a really interesting callback because we end up finding out later on Pearl, the older woman, and her husband, they're a preacher family. They're
Yes.
pert. And that whole dynamic was them blaming the sins of promiscuity on basically people's demise, you would say.
Mm-hmm.
So that was an interesting callback to like a full circle ish moment
Oh
um,
yeah.
right
Yeah.
before she died because then how it was like and blew her away.
Yeah, see that. Well, I do want to say something about that final interaction between it's Maxine and Pearl.
Hmm.
You remember earlier in the movie when I mentioned earlier in this review when they first meet the guy and you know and he has him he's holding him up at gunpoint, and then after they exchange, you know, he knows who they are. He
Hmm.
says, "Oh yeah, the gun wasn't loaded," and then you find out that the director also had a gun, but that wasn't loaded either. That was to scare people. So the reaction when when at the very end when Maxine has the gun and she's going to shoot Pearl and then there's nothing in there, everybody was like they just laughter, surprise. They was like, oh wow, what's going to happen? And then of course Pearl takes the shot and I guess the force of the shot it just blows her away.
That was so funny
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
because it was not just that. Remember, the husband after he killed Lorraine had a heart attack
yeah. Mm-hmm.
because he kept saying, you know, I can't do this, and it was just a combination of what they did previously with the killing and his poor heart just gave out,
Mm-hmm.
and it was hilarious, but it was sad. But yeah, and then you know, Pearl is like halfway dying, and then she had the audacity to beg for help,
Oh yeah, that
which
wasn't going to
was
happen.
that
That
was
wasn't going
just
to
like,
happen. Um, but yeah, the interesting thing is for me is that the Maxine character
mhm.
from the very beginning, she's talking about she wants to be a star. They say that she has the X factor. This is the name of the reason movie X. Yes, but really,
Oh,
but
I just
yes,
had that.
yeah, like you said, but yeah, then you find out all along this thing about this preacher because they have that video playing early in the movie of the preacher talking about, oh yeah, sex is bad, all this other stuff, but then you find out that's actually the father of her. So makes me very curious to see what is going to happen in the sequel because
Mhm.
clearly, you know, I don't know what to expect from the sequel, and I think that's a good thing because that character is still alive. But I just want to see what exactly is the direction they're going to take it in now with her. So I look forward to seeing that.
That yeah, that was I need to know like what happened there. And what was really interesting was I want to know if they knew that was her, that was their daughter, and just did not care at
Oh,
all.
you know what, I don't, I mean, I'm not, I don't believe that they did. I mean, I'm not
That
100%
was
sure,
crazy.
but I just know that that was a very good twist for the story. Because again, it works in many ways. And again, they said there's something very special about this character, and that was a good payoff to say, yes, this character is also the preacher's daughter. That was a very good payoff, I think.
Hmm.
Because I was wondering, you know, what is so special about this about her in this movie, and that now you know that's what it is. It's not that she just wants to be a star, but yeah, she has her past is tied directly to something that her father does not want her doing.
Right.
Um, So it's
And
interesting.
and what was kind of interesting, Howard within the movie kind of admitted that Pearl has done this before. We had the guy who was in the basement, right? But
Yeah.
if you really looked at it, remember by the car that was by the lake, and it was the whole corpse situation. Um, it kind of reminded me a bit of Psycho. Remember Psycho with the
Hmm.
crazy mom that was actually him the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so, it was really interesting. I mean, I think in a weird way, with Howard's situation, he warned them, don't go near the house
Yep.
because I think he kind of knew what was going on.
Oh yeah. He said, yeah, he told him a couple times, my wife is sick. Don't mess with her. Don't talk to her. And then that happened. And then as it happened, slowly everything started to fall apart.
And he knew that, I think that she's so enraged by anything that's sexual in nature
Hmm.
that she would just go berserk. And then for me, this is why I wonder, and I know that there's the prequel that's going to explain her story. I wonder if they will explore what exactly is that happening and whether or not it was Howard's teachings that made her so enraged because as a preacher he did not have any kind of respect for anyone who was with the promiscuity. It was a very straight conservative lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so you see kind of like when you that kind of way kind of drive what was it Maxine into being into the adult entertainment industry because of that
Yeah.
complete strictness.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing them explain that. I'm for sure that there are some very traumatic things that happened to Pearl at a younger age. I'm gonna go ahead and make a guess that also maybe she did not was not able to conceive a child, and
Mhm.
that could have also played a role into this. Also, I mean, it has to be a lot of things that happen. But I know the trailer we saw, it shows you like a lot of the positive moments, but then it gets dark towards the end of the trailer, people getting
Mhm.
killed and stuff like that. So I look forward to seeing how they explain that, even though the character is no longer alive at the end of this movie. I
Mhm.
look forward to seeing what the past is and how it ties to the next movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be really interesting. I know that they released you guys saw to see a trailer. We didn't in the press screening, which made me really
Uh
sad.
oh. Uh oh.
So sad. I'm like, I wouldn't know this was a prequel. I found this old way. But I do know that it will talk about what happened. I think it was before the war is
Mm-hmm.
when Pearl was Pearlin and what would happen what was going on with Howard. And I would like to see that mental demise. And also Howard's interaction as a father. That'll be really interesting as well to see. Because
Yeah.
it was weird that because in remember it was like in the kind of the uh preacher I don't what do you call it broadcasting repeat casting I don't know what it is but in there he revealed that he's Maxine's father and he was praying for her to return to God and to the family. So did he have any kind of indication that that would be her? Did he purposely kill? Try to go out and kill her, knowing that it was her?
That's a good question. I have no idea. Um, I actually did not pick up that in those recordings that is the same person that had
Hmm.
the heart attack. So that's a I mean, yeah, we need to see. We need to see
Hmm.
what happens next because I didn't pick up on that. I thought that was a completely different person, that preacher. So I yeah
Ah, same.
see so that now that it's a lot deeper now. So
Been
I
oh,
well go
go
ahead.
sorry. No, 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 go.
No. So I definitely want to see now what happens next
Right.
if that's the case.
Well, you see, it kind of also really explains. I want to know the interaction because remember, she kept saying throughout the whole thing was, "I will not accept the life I do not deserve," which is an actual Bible statement from Mark 10:15,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that is what the father kept saying in
Yep.
the video montage thing. As I will not accept a life I do not deserve. So with her, you can say that she used that line to drive her away from her parents and to go into this industry. in order to get the life as far away as she can from her parents. So then I wondered when it came to Howard, was that line, I will not accept a life I do not deserve, but it was that the driving force for him from his daughter. Like, I do not accept this. We as a family do not deserve to be placed into whatever it is you're doing, and that kind of excommunicated her from the family. But then again, you have him saying we pray for her return.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on. And then how does that line affect Pearl? Because Pearl running around getting angry at youth and I do not accept this. Is it her saying, also agreeing, like, I don't accept this body, and so I don't deserve to see other people with their nice young youth bodies, so I'm going to kill them.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's
So
a very good point. These are questions that they absolutely need to answer these questions.
so these are just so many different things that I was just wondering. And then also the sequel. What, everyone's dead aside from Mia, which would be Pearl. I mean Maxine. So what would happen in the sequel? What do you want to see in the sequel?
Well, I know in the sequel that they said they're going to be talking about home movies, VHS. That's something that they're going to focus on as far as the that they didn't go into the plot. They're just saying they're going to highlight that type of filmmaking, I guess. So I mean, I have no idea. We do know at the end the police find the camera with the footage. So I don't know if that's going to come into play in the sequel. If they, I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Then would it be considered a snuff film, since they would assume that it was real killings on camera for the sake of entertainment?
Well, I don't think any of those killings are on
That's
the
right.
actual. Yeah,
But
this
if
is
you see
just
the,
the
yeah.
this is just the movie, the dirty movie. That's the scenes that they filmed that are not. It's not all together edited yet.
I wonder how they'll try to tie in the murder scenes and say how it relates to the movie. That'll be really interesting.
Yeah,
So overall, I thought it was very good. So what are your thoughts, your final thoughts on X?
yeah. I thought it was a very good movie.
Hmm.
For those looking for a horror movie, it's definitely worth seeing. Um, like I said, if you're a fan of A24, you definitely should go out and support the movie. I think that's 100% something you should definitely consider. Yeah, it's just like a nice little horror movie slasher slash very simple concept, but it's very well done as far as telling the story, and it makes you very curious to see what's going to happen next. So I definitely give it a thumbs up.
I'm muted. I completely agree. I think that it was incredibly smart. It's easy to just make something that's like a slasher, or as we saw on Netflix, remember the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was the worst thing I ever saw. Jesus, it's really easy to make something like that, but Ty West really went out of his way and used his brain. He used some intelligence and he made something that was way smarter than what it should have been.
Exactly.
And I really appreciate that. And I look forward to kind of like what's going to happen with the prequels and sequels. And I think that it's just overall, it's just really good.
Hmm.
So I wonder how he's going to bring in these other characters. And then, of course, are we going to have Mia back? Mia Goth?
Oh yeah.
So it's Mia.
Yeah. Yeah. In the she's in the prequel.
Yeah,
And
it's called
she's
Pearl. Yeah.
and she's in, and I believe she's going to be in the sequel also. But my guess is that they probably, a lot of those people signed on to
Hmm.
be in multiple movies in some capacity. So I don't know, the other characters that are dead, maybe they won't show up. But yeah, she'll be back for sure. That character will return.
I need a Kid Cudi spinoff. Which I know that Kid Cudi is. I think Kid Cudi is directing movie with Brittany Snow as a star.
Oh really?
So that's really good. I like their dynamic together. I like them together.
Yeah.
So that'll be really fun, and I look forward to that. So overall, I think it was really great. Um, I liked everything that they put in there,
Hmm.
and I thought this was just a really, again, a smart film. So, is there anything you would like to say or plug, Mister Bailey?
Oh no, well, I just want to thank everybody for their continued support on the channel. Um, there's quite a bit of things I know you have to plug. So I definitely want to say, yeah, definitely look for. I know that Gary did a review of Top Boy today. That's up on the channel. Feel free to leave your thoughts. And as far as these movie reviews are concerned, let us know if you would like to see more of these, and if there are any particular movies you want us to really talk about, because we see a lot of stuff. We just don't talk about everything on the channel. But if there's something that you like to see us cover in the future, definitely let us know. And if you like the content, as Gary always said, leave a comment, engage, like, and consider subscribing.
And as for what's coming up, we have again Halo review. Not Halo. I did a review for Halo. I have to do a follow up because you guys sent a lot of questions, and I'm like, these are really smart, but they're essay questions, and I'm like, I can't answer all of these. So we're gonna do another video with Halo. Gonna have some sad news for some kind of Halo fans. It's not gonna be like the games at all.
Uh-oh.
So sorry about that. No, we have interviews that have went up with Pablo Schreiber, and we have the woman who plays Cortana, and one who plays what is her name? Quan
Cortana.
on Cortana and Quan on
Quan.
the
Yeah,
show.
Quan. Yeah.
We will have the director coming up and the executive producer, along with the head of the 343 Industries. I hope I pronounced. Yep, that was right. Video
That's correct.
games stuff. I haven't done video games for so long, so I forget names. So we have that coming up. Also, we have coming up Morbius. I just got the date for when the embargo drops, which is on the 30th of March. So we have Morbius. We have interviews with Jared Leto, which he does a really interesting interview that involved plants and Hitler and other things. It went sideways, but it was great. Dorham, we have Matt Smith as well, and we have a lot of movies. We have The Lost City with Sandra Bullock that is coming up. We have Better Nate Than Never, which is a Disney Plus movie. So just stay tuned to the site. It's a lot of things here. If you go into the community tab, things are broken down within the schedules that'll let you know what times and what dates movies are posting. Interviews and reviews are posting. So thank you for that much with me. I talked a lot. So overall, that's been everything. I just want everyone to if you like this movie, comment whether or not you've seen X. It's been a while now, so we can, talk about the spoilers. Whether or not you liked it, if you're looking forward to the prequel and the sequel, which will be vastly different from each other. And what other movies are you looking forward to? Also, A24 does really great movies. You go see Uma. Go see everything, everywhere, all at once, which I know Richard is going to go see.
That's coming out on Friday.
Coming out on the Friday. Got to get down on Friday. Partying. Nobody remembers that song anymore. But anyway, thank you. Have a great day, afternoon, evening, and see you later.